Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Scorbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. It's time for Taroscopes. We're going to be doing the Taroscopes for the sign of Scorpio. That's Scorpio Sun, Moon, and or Rising for the month of June 2023. But before we get to the reading, let's look at a little astrology. There are some big things happening for Scorpio. This month, mainly your ruling planet, Pluto, is moving back into Capricorn. It has been in Aquarius now for about 3 months. It moves back into Capricorn on the 11th. And for Scorpios, is it better for Pluto to be, or is it easier for Pluto to be in Capricorn or in Aquarius? I'd have to say probably Capricorn, only because the energy of Capricorn blends more easily than the energy of Aquarius. Aquarius is square Scorpio. So in a way, for some people, it's like, oh no, it's going back into Capricorn. But for Scorpio, it's like, whew, it's going back into Capricorn. So you can kind of catch your breath a little bit. Scorpio is the planet of transformation and sort of the breaking down of structures that no longer serve. And Capricorn is structures. So there's a familiarity. And of course, we've been doing it since 2008. So we have that familiarity. It's not easy for anybody, but if anybody can deal with the kind of change that Pluto and Capricorn has wrought, it is probably Scorpio. We also have Saturn stationing retrograde in Pisces and Neptune stationing retrograde in Pisces this month. Saturn stations retrograde on the 17th and Neptune on the 30th, so not till the end of the month. Both Saturn and Neptune in Pisces are in your 5th house of creative self-expression, children. So there can be challenges with your children if that applies to you. There can be challenges with your self-expression as well, but especially the Saturn going retrograde gives us an opportunity to go over some things that we've been dealing with since Saturn moved into Pisces, sort of go over some old ground, see what we can learn from it, and then move forward. So it's kind of like if you were writing a book, it would be a good time to edit so far what you have written or what you have created. The planet, of course, the sun is in Gemini for most of the month and then shifts into Cancer. When it moves into Cancer, it moves into your 9th house. There's a flow between Scorpio and Cancer, so that's nice, as it were. But in Gemini, it's a little bit more challenging. Gemini is in conjunct Scorpio, so adjustments need to be made. We do have a full moon in Sag. Sag is your 2nd house of values, and the sun, of course, is going to be opposite the Sag moon, and that falls in your 8th house. So this is the axis of values, right? What's important? What are your resources, your personal resources, 2nd house, and what are your shared resources, 8th house? And we do have a new moon in the 8th house, but that's happening on, let's see, that is the 18th of the month, new moon in the latter degrees. I believe it's 27 degrees of Gemini. But that is square Neptune. It's square Neptune. So it is it's a last quarter crisis in consciousness square to Neptune. And so it is about the individuation process. You will be going through an individuation process through that new moon energy. And you just need to be cautious whenever Neptune is around, because it can trick us. It's sort of like, making plans with Heyoka or Coco Pele. And Coco Pele is, I think it's Heyoka is the coyote energy, right? The coyote energy. So you can be tricked. So be And you're not that easy to trick, Scorpio, because you already come in with this like sort of like, are you trying to trick me energy to begin with? But they can still trick you. So just be aware of that. Watch out for not necessarily dirty tricks, but maybe tricks that help you to take yourself less seriously, because sometimes you guys can take yourselves pretty seriously. Not that I blame you. Venus is moving into Leo this month, and it's going to be there for 4 months. Why is it there so long? Because it usually spends about maybe a month in a sign. It's because we have a retrograde a retrograde period of Venus, and it's all in Leo. It starts, of course, goes all the way up to the 29th degree of Leo, and then it backs all the way back to the 13th degree of Leo. So that, and wherever you have in your chart 13 degrees of Leo to 29 degrees of Leo, that part of the chart, we're going to have things go over, right? And for you, we're talking about your 10th house, which is your public standing. So there is, forward progress in your career and your public standing, and then you're going to have to re go over something and then come back, but that like forward, back, forward, three's a charm kind of thing by the time things move forward. And that's going to happen actually. Venus goes out of Leo in October. So by October, things will, whatever's happening in that 10th house, it's going to be very evident to people, so you can't hide it. And I know you guys like to hide things. You don't really want to be seen sometimes because you think people can use it against you, but you're strong enough to be seen. And I think it's good. I think of Venus in Leo reminds us that we need to love ourselves, and sometimes we do things out of insecurity that ends up hurting us. And I think the Venus in Leo is going to help us learn not to do that, especially for you, Scorpio. Let me see, is there anything else? There's a lot happening. For more specifics about what's happening this month astrologically, you can check out my Astrology of Kabbalah of June 2023, which will come out later today or tomorrow. I'm a little backed up because I was in Ireland for 10 days and I have to catch up. And it just happened to fall like at the end of a month and the beginning of a month. So things are going to be just a little bit delayed this month for me. Have patience. And I do the Astrology Kabbalah and the first week of June, and then each succeeding week, anyway, the next few weeks, I do the week ahead. So about usually 4 videos come out on the astrology of the month. So you can check those out if you want to get real specific, or if you want a reading with me, there are links below that you can have a reading with me. So that's enough of that. Let's get into the actual tarot. All right, I am using the Wild Unknown Tarot, which is appropriate for Scorpio, considering you are the wild and unknown sign of the zodiac. Scorpio is a sign of extremes. There are no half measures with Scorpio, so why not the wild unknown? We're not going to be doing the timid and tentative cards, the timid and tentative cards. No, the wild unknown. All right, enough of that. And the back is like snakeskin, which is another appropriate card. All right, almost ready. I want to give you a good shuffle, Scorpio. No half measures here. Oh, one more. Maybe 2. All right, let's see what's coming up, guys, for Scorpio. We have the 5 of Wands here. So this is a lot of activity, a lot of action, a lot of ideas. This has changed. This is about the changing of fire, spirit, inspiration, intuition, Lots of things in the air, so to speak. So nothing is set yet. Everything is sort of like all out there and floating around. The challenge is to come together with somebody or a situation. You don't have to agree on everything, because you see their feet are separate, but you need to come to a focus point together, and it will create a gateway for you to move forward. So the challenge is to find the focus, and you're going to need somebody else to do it with in some way. It's not going to be just you. It has to be. So there's a certain amount of cooperation that has to happen through all this sort of everything up in the air kind of energy. Let's see what's it's at the root of. Yeah, so here we have another 2. This is a coming together. It's a crossing of swords. It's in a way a truce energy. But again, it's very similar to this card, right? So this card is the challenge. This is what's at the root. We need to settle things down. Things need to settle down. Even if it's agreeing to disagree, the fighting has to stop. X marks the spot, guys. Let's see what's in the past. This is the 6 of Wands. You have freed yourself from entanglements in the past. You have freed yourself from entanglements. Maybe one of the reasons why you're not so willing to get entangled again with that other person or the other here. Let's see what's in the sky. We have the Son of Wands, or this is the Prince of Wands, or the Knight of Wands. This is a rising of the Kundalini. A rising of the Kundalini. So this is pretty intense sexual energy available to you, but whenever you're dealing with that kind of energy, you need to be very, very careful, because there can be unintended consequences. So the energy is there for you if you want to utilize it, but you still need to be careful. You know, it's interesting because there's the symbol here is a cobra, and they, you know, of course, poisonous, but you can also use their venom as a curative, like anti-venom and things like that. So what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Try a little longer. I don't know how that song goes. I don't know the words, but that kind of thing. Let's see what's in. Oh, here we go. More snakes. Now we have the Father of Wands here in the immediate future. This is the father or the king has more experience than the knight or the son. So this is a knowledge of the process of transformation, perhaps shedding old skins, but having it be like a conscious shedding of skins. Conscious shedding of skins, and accessing your agency and accessing your spiritual powers. So that's what's happening right now. And the thing is, in order to do it, you need to come to a rest spot. You need to sort of, and then allow the energy of the spirit to rise up in you, the Kundalini force. But you can't be all over the place. You have to focus. And I think that's what this card speaks of, the 2 of Swords. In the numerology that I use, this is a 5611 vibration. So it's a master number vibration. And it's a vibration of balance. So you need to keep your balance through this, because there's a lot of very powerful energy rising up within you. And part of the reason why it's doing it is because you disentangled yourself from a situation in the past, whether it was a relationship or whether it was an addiction to things like the news or what's happening, or focusing on things you had no control over. You've let go of that, and I think decided to do it differently, right? Okay. How others see you. Progressing, the Seven of Pentacles is about doing the work, progressing, maybe not quite ready for a prime time, but on the path to prime time. In the domestic situation, we have the Wheel of Fortune, so there's a change of fortune. This is a benefic card. It is it's associated with Jupiter, the planet Jupiter, where we have Taurus. I didn't mention this, but Jupiter and Taurus is in your house of relationship, right? And so there's an expansion in the possibilities of relationships, whether they be marriage, love relationships, or business relationships. Actually, marriage is kind of a business relationship. Usually love is more of the purview of the fifth house, but that seventh house energy is having to agree on certain, like in order to have the seventh house energy work, you have to agree on the facts. You have to find the thing that you both agree on, right? All right, let's see. Hopes and fears. Power and money. Well, who doesn't hope for that? I don't think people fear that mostly, especially not you, Scorpio. And what is in the outcome is the Justice card. So things will balance out. The scales will balance out. That's very good for you. So if you're worried that people are going to take advantage of you, or yeah, justice is the outcome. So if they do something to hurt you, they will pay for it. But it's also, if you do something to hurt them, you will pay for it. So everybody pays, everything is evened out in the end here. Underneath it all, we have heartbreak and betrayal. If there is a sign that understands about heartbreak and betrayal, it is Scorpio. And part of the lesson in Scorpio is to forgive. You don't necessarily have to forget, but you have to forgive. And as you forgive, you don't need to remember anymore because you're on to the next thing. The Four of Swords, this is about rest and recuperation. And then the Six of Cups, which is about family and, memories, pleasant familial memories. You need rest and recuperation. That's what these cards are talking about. Rest and recuperation. You need to trust that the universe has your back, which is very hard because you've had a lot of experiences where you wished the universe had your back. But it ended up, at least in your estimation, not to be the case. But ultimately, everything serves our growth. And if we can surrender to it, it actually is easier. All right, Scorpio. I hope you have a wonderful month. Please like and subscribe if you would. If you're interested in a reading with me, there is a link below to my website. I do astrology, Kabbalah, numerology readings, either 90-minute or 60-minute. If it's your first reading, I prefer more time because there is a lot of things to cover. If you've had a reading with me before, the 60 minutes is generally sufficient to see what's coming up in the future or in the situation you find yourself in. I do have a Patreon page if you want to support me in that way. Otherwise, if you can just give a thumbs up and share this, that will go a long way to getting me to 10,000 subscribers. Slow and steady wins the race, right? All right, guys, have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month for the horoscopes for Scorpio for the month of July. But until then, take care of yourself and recuperate and rest. There are really important and beautiful things coming in your direction, but you need to balance and feel the energy as it rises up within you. Take care, everyone. Namaste.